Good evening, everyone. It is May 6th, 2010, and this is Wheel of Fish. Okay, there are a couple things that I want to talk about before I get into the main body of what I want to talk about today. If you've been paying attention to me on my blog, I write articles for my college. I write game reviews for my college, and I just want to tell anyone who is following that at all, I'm going to stop writing game reviews for a little while, considering just the one that I'm going to be posting up today is the last game review of the year. And we had the last newspaper went out, Wednesday. So basically, they're wrapping things up for the year. You're probably wondering why I'm talking so fast is because I have finals and papers to write and study for. So I'm going to try to keep this video really, really short and get through it as fast as I can so I can get back to that. So the other day for my psychology class, I had to go attend a lecture about autism and Aspergers. And the speaker that we had there was a woman named Jane Brown, and she is with this group called the College Autism Spectrum. And I don't know much about their organization, but they're big proponents about students who are in college or trying to get into college who have Asperger's or autism and are on that sort of spectrum of somebody who has autism, and Asperger's falls underneath that. And while I was at the lecture, she talked a lot about what Asperger's and autism students had to deal with in school and stuff like that. After her lecture, I approached her and asked her about how kids who have Asperger's and autism can be sort of brought more into the role-playing game realm, because at my role-playing game club that I have here, I have a couple of students who are on the spectrum, who have Asperger's. And she sent me a list of some suggestions that I could use for the club. And unfortunately, I've not been able to go to any of the meetings for a while recently because, end of school year stuff and trying to wrap everything up and doing all this work. So I decided I'll just tell y'all the suggestions that Ms. Brown sent to me, and I will, tell you guys these suggestions. And if you have anybody who is on the spectrum who has Asperger's or autism in your role-playing game group, if you play role-playing games, you can, write down in the comments, and use these suggestions and comment back saying how they worked for you, or bring up your own concerns about students that might be on the spectrum that are in your gaming group or whatever, and I can drop her an email and with these concerns and ask her if she has any insight about them. Now, the first suggestion that she writes to me is she says, give the students a preview of what is going to happen in the game. And obviously, I'm sure she doesn't mean tell them what's the story going to be, the entire story of what it's going to be while you're playing it, but give them sort of an idea of what the theme of the game might be, if you're trying to go for a very, very political intrigue game, explain to them, hey, this is going to be a very political intrigue game, and, go over that with them, what the story is going to be about. The second suggestion that she sends me, and I'm going to read it right off the paper that I have in front of me, so bear with me. It says, if you think the game is going beyond some students, give them roles you think that they may be suited to, or may have less of an impact on the outcome of the game. And one of the things that I brought up with her when I was talking to her about, students on the spectrum who come to my role-playing game club is that, I tend to base a lot of my games have a lot of political intrigue in that. And sometimes, because of how Asperger's or autism works, a lot of those kind of social cues, political cue kind of things goes right over their head. So I think what she means by this here is that if they don't seem to really be understanding what's going on with at least political kind of stuff, try to work them more into a role where they won't have to worry about as much of that political stuff. I mean, of course, I insist, let your players be what they want to be, but maybe if they're going to be having a conversation in front of the king of whatever, you might want to suggest to the player who's having problems with getting the political stuff over their head, maybe to play a character that's not as politically motivated. Maybe, Gothnar the Barbarian is not going to be interested about, the power struggle that's happening between the king and his, advisor. He's more interested in, hey, when am I going to when am I going to be able to beat stuff up? The last thing she suggests on the list is this is something that all GMs should probably do, and that's just talk to your players and see what they think about the game. In particular with kids who have Asperger's and autism, they tend to have, from what I'm remembering from the lecture, they tend to have something that they like to hyper-focus on. Whether it be geography or math or something like that. They like to hyper-focus on something that's just their niche and something that they just love to do. And, when you talk to your players, pay particular attention to if you have a student who has Asperger's or autism, pay particular attention to what they think, they might want to see more of. Because, if they start saying something about, I want to see more, I think I'll understand the game better if we had maps, if we had more maps of what was going on, about more maps of what, the landscape looks like. Go ahead and, draw up some maps, to the rest of the players it will be something like, it'll just be a prop for them. But for that student who has Asperger's or autism, that might be a hell of a help to the game of how, how things are going in the game. Basically, the last suggestion that as I'm reading it is just play to their strengths. Where they may not be as politically savvy, they might be really, really good at something else in the game that you can just play off of, and they'll love it, and it will make the game better for it. Well, that's all I have to say this week. I've got tests and papers to worry about right now, so sorry if I seemed a bit rushed in the video, and if the editing to this video doesn't seem as great as it usually is. And please, if you use any of these suggestions that Ms. Brown sent to me, post it in the comments. Tell me if you have any other, if there are any other concerns that you might have about players who are on the spectrum. Let's start a dialogue about this. Let's tell me how these suggestions worked for you, and if there's anything else that maybe something that you want brought up for players who are on the spectrum of Asperger's and autism. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Once again, I'm not going to be posting any more game reviews in the blog because it's the end of the school year and our last newspaper went out last Wednesday. So That's about it. I'll see you guys next Thursday, and this has been Wheel of Fish.